Okay, so Prime Minister's question time today. I'm always at a bit of a loss for these ones because I like to show what Boris has actually said. It's a little bit like Donald Trump because most people don't follow politics. So when you look at what Trump says in the news, you're getting a very small snippet. When you get the long thing, the actual speech he gives, you realise how much of a fucking moron that guy is. So I like to do the same thing with Boris Johnson, but for this video there really isn't much point. Keir Starmer went along the lines, his first question gave an example of a woman who's trying to get tested for the virus. And he gives examples and tells her story, which she's been sent here, there, and she's been sent all across the country. In the end, she's told that she has to go to Swansea. And it's just an abject failure. So what is the Prime Minister going to do about it? And this is where he stuck to his questions, all 6 of his questions. It was just on the track and trace program. Now Boris deflected it, and he came out with bollocks like, "Oh, he doesn't like the NHS. He's not supporting the NHS. He's condemning them." And first and foremost, go fuck yourself. Most of the tests are not being done by the NHS. And as far as capacity goes, yeah, you can say there's 100 million billion fucking squillion capacity, but how many people are actually being tested? Because I've been tested once since the start of the year, and I work in a care home. That's an issue. Boris is very good about throwing numbers that sound big and labeling them like capacity, because capacity is not the same as actual being tests. I have the capacity to run. If you ever see me running, there's something chasing me, but I have the capacity to do it for a laugh. Probably a bad example, but that's where Starmer kept his line of questioning, and he kept going back to it, essentially saying, look, there's a problem here. I've offered to help time and time and time and time again. Acknowledge there's a problem and we can fix this. And instead Boris just kept deflecting. And there were so many other questions that Starmer could have brought up. For example, last week was the Boris refused to meet with people who had lost loved ones due to government incompetence, and he came out and said, well, I would go meet these people, like I said on the news, I would go meet these people, but I can't because they're suing me, so can't do it. Turns out that was bullshit. He absolutely could. Now I don't think he will, I don't think he ever will, and I will throw my hands up and admit it if I'm ever proven wrong, and he does. But Boris doesn't like the people. He's a snivelling little coward, and he doesn't do well with confrontation. Again, we've known this throughout his entire career. He wants all the accolades, he doesn't want to work for it, and he doesn't want the confrontation because he's a lazy gobshite. So he could have brought that up. He could have brought up the fact that a couple of days ago Parliament refused. They put the vote through. The Conservatives put the vote through, and they are refusing to do anything about the Grenfell tragedy. The report has been put in. No one has faced any consequences for the lives that were lost. And let's be very clear about this, okay? In care work, you'll go to prison if you're found to be abusing the people that you look after. It is a much harsher sentence if you're found to be neglecting the people you look after. These people were murdered by Tory neglect. They were set up in a situation that was doomed to fail from the outskirts, and then they were neglected. And they've been neglected since the tragedy happened. That should have been brought up by Keir Starmer, and it wasn't. Finally, the last thing that should have been brought up by Keir Starmer Now, I get why he's not coming in on the Brexit fiasco. At least not in Prime Minister's question times. He's been very quiet about it. It's incredibly divisive, so I get it. But what this government has done, and I've been saying this throughout the year, and I said this a few times last year as well. This government, whether it was Boris, it's more Boris than Theresa May, but they have been giving off the body language, the little telltale signs that, hey, rest of the world, you can't trust us. You can't trust us. While they're publicly saying all the right things to people who aren't particularly following politics, those who do follow politics, who do follow these threads and the outcomes of them, it's been very clear that they're giving off the message that you can't trust us. We're standing on a global stage desperately trying to get trade agreements with anyone we can, because this government is completely isolating us from Europe. So we're standing, and again, if you are a Brexiteer, I've heard it 100 times, well, we can trade with the rest of the world. Okay, well, the rest of the world has to trust us. And this week, the government, Boris Johnson's government, Boris Johnson, who negotiated this treaty, he didn't, he pulled it out of the bin, but he was praising it as his victory. He negotiated this treatment. He tried to force it through Parliament without MPs being able to vote on it. In fact, he did. He forced it through Parliament without MPs being able to, not vote on it, excuse me, without MPs being able to debate it. So his MPs, all the Conservatives, every single Conservative, voted for this bill without being able to read through it and debate it. He said at the start of the year, it was amazing, and he signed it into law. This week, he said the thing that he pushed through and signed into law, he won't follow because fuck it. That has just told every single country around the world that was even remotely thinking about having a deal with us, you can't trust us. As a side job, I'm in digital marketing. I'm also in social media management, blah, 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 blah. And one of the companies that I work with, I'm on retainer for. Now, I don't have that many specific roles to do. A lot of it is, okay, I think I should do this, I think I should put out a promo, I think I should do this, I need to put out a few video edits, a few image edits, blah, 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 blah. I'm pretty much left to do what I do. But I have a few responsibilities that are part of it. It would be like me going a full 3 months without actually doing anything and still demanding that the company pay me. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. I've just shown to this company you can't trust me to actually do the thing you're paying me to do. That's exactly what this government has done. This government is now not even being subtle about it. They've stood up on a public stage and said, fuck you, you can't trust me. I don't care if I sign this into law, to hell with you. Now the ramifications of that are too much for me to go into this video considering how long it is already. But that's the attitude that they have. So those are questions I think Starmer should have gone in, instead of just focusing on the track and trace program that we know is bullshit. If I was part of Starmer's team, I would be saying, okay, look, maybe do this for 2 questions, and at the third question, come up with something like, okay, well, the Prime Minister clearly isn't listening to me. He's not answering the question, but I have a more pressing question that needs to be answered, and then go into Grenfell. The Grenfell tragedy. The blatant law breaking. And I'm going to link a stream from RT down below, because the very first PM who stood up, and I apologise, I don't know her name, but she asked Boris, considering the U-turns and everything else, does he expect anyone to follow the law, given the examples that we've been shown. Boris got up, yep, we expect everyone in the UK to follow the law. Okay, well, Dominic Cummings sure as shit didn't, did he? Straight away, Dominic Cummings broke the law twice this year. But there you go, that's Prime Minister's question times. I'd like to hear from Boris supporters. I genuinely want to hear the defence. If you are still a Boris supporter, or if you know someone who is a Boris supporter, I want their feedback on his performance today, because he didn't answer a single question. And what he put out was lies. So it's all very well and good, excuse me, it's all very well and good talking to someone about this who realises Boris Johnson is a clown and a colossal mistake. But I actually want to hear people who support Boris try and defend him. Because if I'm trying to be objective, I can't defend Boris in any way, shape or form. At every single turn this year, they have done the wrong thing. And I want to know Boris supporters' take on this. Apart from that, keep safe, wear your mask. I mean, there's a lot of advice to give, but fucking hell, just listen to the scientists, not this band of incompetent buffoons. Keep safe, and I'll see you next time.